He will know your ways as if born to them.
Well, I guess so, after having seen at least 2 versions of this on screen. Yes, Dune has arrived. And I'm not going to spoil anything because there's really no need. I mean, unless the story is completely new to you, then I guess, yeah, that would be an interesting vantage point, but it's one I can't occupy because I've seen, the David Lynch version. I never did read the books, which I'm embarrassed to say. So, gee, if I could just find that thing you need to do that. Oh, yeah, it's called time. So the film it is long, and I don't know why. They made a decision to its the ending of the movie is really it's really at the halfway point of the David Lynch version of the story, where Paul and Jessica they meet up with the Fremen, and through trial by combat become a member of the tribe, as it were. And a lot of the plot points are pretty much spot on the same thing as both the Lynch film and the miniseries, which I didn't get to finish because I only watched it on YouTube, and that wasn't illegally there. So they took down the final episodes of it. So I can't find it anywhere. I guess I didn't look hard enough. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere or what, but whatever. But the visual aspects of this Dune is extraordinary. They do a very good job on that. It is in the line of of desaturation of the environment and whatnot. I thought it could have used a little more color to it. The spaceships and everything look cool and all that. There's one thing I wish they would have done. They didn't depict the jump through space, which I wish they would have done their own version of that. It's just suddenly the big giant transport ship is there in the orbit of Dune or Arrakis, and there you go. The Atreides is taking over from the Harkonnens, and it's all visually stunning and everything. But I just the super being and whatnot, you just don't see a lot of that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that was a decision not to bother with it, or they said, well, we got a lot of this is going to be a long movie, so we can't show everything, and I says, well, you probably could have. Because it sort of drags out the point of Paul's discovering himself. He's having the dreams and the visions and all that, and tested. And I will say this about this version of him is he's certainly younger than I think he is than Kyle MacLachlan. He's certainly rather small and skinny. But it's like and the difference between them is like MacLachlan's Paul kind of stepped into the role rather quickly, and I mean he was a bit older. And there's credibility to it in that both of them have been militarily trained and all this sort of thing. But I don't know. It's just, and of course it could just be the differences of age or what have you. Is just that it's seen a more mature character in the earlier film than here. But it's all very fine in that he's got this destiny to fulfill, and but it's like it doesn't get completely enough into the details of what they did. I know the story overall. Of what the Bene Gesserit has done, and they do say this, but it seems to be an emphasis on more of their political prowess in the state of affairs of all this, and rather than this manipulating this prophecy, and how it's supposed to come about, and that they sort of engineered the whole prophecy that the people are superstitious about and whatnot. But then again, it's always one of those things that you think you're the one manipulating it, but is it manipulating you? So, the Harkonnens, they're not as flamboyant as they were in the 2 previous versions, which is somewhat lacking. There is a certain power and presence to them, and that they're definitely evil and all of this. They're just not as disgusting in appearance. as they were in the previous one. And so there's some cool visuals, but again, it's lacking in color, I think. But overall, it kept my interest, and the performances are fine. I'm not bothered by any of them. The only thing that was really noticeable was the gender swap of Dr. Kynes, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, I'm like, why? What was the point? It didn't really. I don't know why he did it. So other than it's current era and all that, but it's all the same stuff. The plot points are all there, and they're going to do this scene, and next here comes that scene, and the shielding, the personal shields they had, it's not that impressive. It's funny how once again some of the elements of the Lynch film, it's so weird looking, and the way it's all blocky and stuff, it just looked better as far as I am concerned. But so it's engineered for a second film, and I'm not sure that that's guaranteed. Now granted, they started work on this, they could not have known the conditions they would be facing in the marketplace today, and so that's definitely going to be a problem. But you've had some big successes recently, and that's movies like Venom and Halloween Kills, and these are just dumb fun movies that have a certain amount of entertainment to them that the audience was looking for. And this one, you do have the battle scenes and stuff, but it's not really an adventure movie per se. So I don't know that that's going to work. Maybe there was enough anticipation built up, and it pays off, but I rather doubt it. It does look very expensive, so I'm sure it was. Because things like Venom and Halloween, those weren't expensive films per se. Halloween, I think, made not only broke even its first night, but made a profit, I think. So Dune's not going to do that. And I imagine the difference between seeing it on HBO Max as I did, because I kind of have to at this point. But I imagine seeing it in the cinema much, much better. And the power of those scenes and the ginormous spacecraft you're dealing with and all that stuff in the landscapes and everything would certainly have more gravitas to them within the theater. And certainly the sound system, even though the complaints about the soundtrack are pretty much spot on. In fact, it was such that they're saying it's more of this industrial type style music and sound and whatnot, and that's true. But there's actually some chords there, and there's actually a tune, and then towards the end, there's almost a tune that's reminiscent of the Toto version. But it's not nearly enough. You kind of need that catchy tune of some sort, to bolster any kind of excitement and whatnot for this. And there's elements within the story that they could have utilized for that. But at the end of it, I don't fully understand why, other than they want to have this trilogy and all this sort of stuff, and they just say, well, okay, we'll break this up, and this will make for the sequel. But I don't. This is too long of a film for that, and to just end it like that, where okay, they found the Fremen and they're in the group, and that's that. Yeah, I don't. Especially people who aren't familiar with the story, I don't know, and I don't know if there's enough here to make demand for them to spend the kind of money they need to spend to make that sequel, but. Maybe there is. A lot of this I got to thinking because I'm watching it on HBO Max, and I thought they probably should have just made this a series on HBO Max, and it might have worked a bit better than that. But there was quite a bit to where I said, yeah, you could have cut this down, you could have cut that down, and I don't know. So it's like after all this, there's so many attempts at getting Dune off the ground and wanting to move beyond Atreides wins Dune in the end. They beat the Harkonnens. But that's not the whole story. And so it could go beyond that, and we see more of what Dune offers, but we never really get there. You know, we're always stuck at the first story. So, and this one is like halfway through the first story. So, I don't know. I'm thinking that was a bad choice. But just based on where the mood of the potential audience is here, and seeing what has made the big bucks at the movie theater, things like Venom and Halloween Kills, I'm a little dubious about what Dune can do. And it's too bad, because I do appreciate its passion. I do appreciate that there's a beauty to it, despite its lack of color. And the performances are strong, but I just don't think it's enough. So, for the sake of Dune and the being a franchise and whatnot, hopefully it can get over the edge. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's this audience that are really hungry for it, and they'll show up and all that. But I'm just not certain about that. Plus, you know, this isn't the same thing like Halloween Kills was both in theaters and Peacock. And Peacock's the free service, but you had to pay for the Halloween Kills on Peacock. So people went to the theater to see it instead, and and it's October, it's a Halloween movie, and I think they just wanted it for the fun of that. And that kind of movie, and just your horror movie that they're familiar with and whatnot, you can understand that draw that it has. Whereas Dune, it has its cult following, but I don't think it's on par with something like that. So, you know, like Star Wars could do it, except for the what happened to Star Wars over the past, 10 years or so. So might not be able to do that today, but Dune never really had that draw that Star Wars. It has this cult, very faithful and loyal cult following to it, and Dune is one of those that you would have thought could have become like Lord of the Rings did and achieved that. But even with Lord of the Rings, as long as those films were, there was a lot of stuff happening and points here. I mean, I understand where they are and where they get to and the plots and whatnot. I just don't think it's spectacular enough to draw them in within those events for people to leave the theater satisfied. So I think that's a bit troubling and probably a mistake on how they decided to pursue this. But time will tell, and maybe it's just we're seeing a bursting at the seams of people just wanting to see a movie in the theater again, and maybe that'll go to Dune's benefit. But it is on HBO Max as well. Immediately there'll be the piracy, of course. But anybody deciding, I'm just going to stay home and watch it on HBO Max, then that cuts into the theater thing. But that's not really the fault of whether or not the movie was done well or not. So there's troubles with it, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. But I don't know. A little concerning about that, and it's sad because I was hoping this would be, really phenomenal. I don't really see it as that. I don't see it as a bad movie. I see it as a troubled one, and of course, this kind of the similar things I've said about Batman versus Superman. This is a better movie than that, story-wise, of course, and they've got the material from the books and everything that they follow seemingly rather faithfully. As far as I know, I've seen the story depicted twice, so certainly this aspect of it seems to be following that rather well. So hopefully things will work out for it. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.